Hello everyone and welcome to our Gameweek 28 preview show. I'm Chris and Kieran is here too. Hey Keek, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. Just plodding along in the ranks at the moment and not having much fun, but I'm okay.
It's a double game week this weekend. That's like cool to be excited, isn't it?
True. PMA, positive mental
That's
attitude.
exactly right. Exactly right. All right. Well, we're going to obviously talk about Game Week 28 maybe in a lot of detail today. Luton and Bournemouth, obviously with the doubles. Super, and obviously a bit of captaincy thrown in there as well. Let's have a look at the two teams from last game week. I've got to say I'm on a roll at the minute. I'm on a roll.
You are, yeah, big time.
Everyone returned this game week. Everyone, which I was just thinking on Sunday morning. I was like, oh yeah, Arsenal get a clean sheet. Saka gets something. All Haaland has to do is to get a hat trick, and I'll have 100. And he didn't. He didn't. He was the letter downer. Anyway, Oh yeah, my transfer this week was Alvarez out for Morris, which I was worried based on what that first half against Aston Villa was like. They were getting battered, so yeah, that came in, and the rest of it was pretty hunky dory. We both went Haaland. Saka ended up outscoring him, but thankfully not by much. Yeah.
Yep.
Went up to 83k. What did you do again? Because I was looking at your team earlier, and I remember you got Son. Did you do anything else?
No, I didn't do anything else. Just Sun for God, I'm blanking. Who did Huang? Yeah.
Who did blank?
He Chan Huang
That's
went out
right.
for Sun. Yes. And yeah, the rest of the team, Kelleher was good in the end. I'm glad I went for him over Dubravka. It was a bit tight and scary, but yeah, the 3 bonus was nice. Yeah, Taylor probably shouldn't have really ever started him. Doughty should, like, the one return from Doughty I think I've got and it's been benched, which is hilarious. And then you had De Bruyne and Solanke, shitters.
Oh yeah,
basically.
I was just trying to look and see who you blank as well. Yeah, Taylor, De Bruyne, and Solanke. You wouldn't have thought, De Bruyne would have blanked. Taylor, yeah, you can understand that, and then Solanke as well. I'm still, I mean, we'll get into it in a minute. I'm really unsure about Solanke. I feel like he's the automatic captain pick for this week anyway. But I don't know. It's just he's blanked quite a lot recently. He doesn't, from what I read and saw, he doesn't look quite fit, and even he afterwards in an interview said he was in a bit of pain. So, I don't know really. All right. Well, should we get into talking a bit about this? Should we talk about Bournemouth first, because they're probably the interesting pick with their back-to-back home games, aren't they?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So yeah, they've obviously got this double game week, which is Sheffield United at home, Luton at home, and obviously blank in 29. Then they've got Everton at home and Crystal Palace at home after the blank as well. So it's 4 really good, probably the best, probably greatest, easiest run of fixtures the team has seen this season, I reckon, of those 4 in a row at home as well. And obviously this is a double too. So and then after the Crystal Palace at home, they got Luton away again. So they got Luton 2 weeks in fairly quick succession, and then Man United at home after that. So obviously it gets a little bit harder. But these 5 fixtures, insane for Bournemouth. Obviously, not the best team themselves, but that run of fixtures is obviously great. So yeah, last week Bournemouth first win since Game Week 20, as you said last week. Like, they kind of sneaky on the radar, being terrible for a while. And yeah, Game Week 22 to 27, the last 6 weeks, their XG as a team has been 8.7, which is 14th overall with 7 goals scored. 12 big chances created, which is 15th overall, and 78 shots with 50 shots in the box. And then their XGC as a team is 8.8, which is 7th overall, which is actually surprisingly high, with 8 conceded. So yeah, their XGC is better than sort of teams like Liverpool and stuff like that at the moment. So surprising, but yeah. Okay, maybe their defense might be okay in this double. Yeah, so their opponents, the XGC for Sheffield United has been 11.7 recently, which is 14th with 21 conceded, which is obviously a lot. And then Luton on 12.9, which is 19th overall with 16 conceded. Sheffield United faced 105 shots over these last 6 weeks. Luton faced 97. Sheffield United faced 75 shots in the box. Luton faced 72 shots in the box, which is 18th and 17th overall, respectively.
Right.
And then big chances conceded. Sheffield United conceded 16, which is 13th, which is actually less than Liverpool, which is again another interesting one. But then Luton have conceded 25 big chances, which is 19th overall. So surprisingly, I feel like Luton's defense is actually worse than Sheffield United's at the moment. So maybe that's like the more open game, the more chances for Solanke and Bournemouth to hopefully pick up more captain points, I guess, if we're all going to captain it. But yeah, so Solanke.
Do you think standout captain option? I'm really not sure about it.
I mean, I do have him as standout. Like, if he was fit, then there would be no real question.
I agree.
But that is that sort of caveat of his fitness being slightly in question, I suppose. But yeah, he's 25.2% owned at the moment, which is, I mean, I'm expecting that to probably go up to around 35 by the time this sort of starts, this week starts. 7.1 million at the moment. Yeah, since Gameweek 20, Solanke's got on 3 goals, 2 assists. He's had 2, 2, 8, 2, 4, 12, 2, and 2. So there's only really 3 games he's actually returned in.
In what? Is that in 8 games? He's only returned 3 times?
In 8 games, yeah. So, yeah, Sheffield United away this season, he actually blanked and got 2 points. So Sheffield United at home, we'll see what happens. But he's not actually faced Luton home or away this season.
Right, because of the rearrange.
Yeah, so he's top for expected points in Gameweek 28 with 10.8. And then second is Neto and Tavernier on 8.2. So he's a decent sort of way ahead of those two points expected. Last 6 game weeks of forwards, his XG have been 9.39. That would be amazing. 3.97, which is 3rd overall, which is obviously pretty good. But shots 13th, which is 10th of strikers. 5 big chances, which is 6th, which is actually behind like Højlund, who's missed like the last 2 games as well. So it's not so great. 10 key passes, which is 2nd, which is obviously all right. Big chances created 2, which is joint 2nd, but that's with 7 others. And then a 0.5 XA, which is 8th overall for forwards. So yeah, he's actually 6th for points scored, which is 30 points. Morris, your guy, is actually ahead of him over the last 6 weeks on 39 points.
Get on, boy.
Muniz at Fulham is 2nd for overall points, who's actually 4.5 million on 43. And then Højlund, as I mentioned before, he's on 37 compared to Solanke's 30, and he's missed the last 2 games. So, yeah, the rest of the strikers out there for points scored, shame on them, because Højlund's ahead of them, and 30 for Solanke is really not much at all either. So, yeah, his numbers have been okay. His sort of points have not been the best. But it's just these 2 fixtures, like the defenses he's facing are so terrible. Yeah, it's obviously double game week fever. Is there better captains out there than the 2 home against like the 2 relegation teams that are just like pretty obviously going to be relegated? And I don't know. I think you probably have to go for it if you own him. But if you, I don't know what you're thinking. But
well, even like you're talking about all the stats and how he's been like in the last 4 or 5 game weeks against other strikers, he's just like not popping up in any decent reliable numbers. So I was having a look at it like the last 6 game weeks, like you did. If you sort it by points per 90 minutes, he doesn't even make it in the top 10 of all strikers, and like he's behind like Mopai, Owoni, Gakpo was listed as a forward as well. So he's behind some people that are just really have not been reliable. And you're right, I feel like on paper, which is ridiculous, he looks like a good shout, because seeing Luton and Sheffield United in capital letters on the fantasy football site always just looks really juicy, and something about that away game. But yeah, he's just not been performing well. Bournemouth haven't been performing well. I think maybe that if he hadn't have had that good game away against Newcastle, I probably wouldn't be. I feel like he's just should be an automatic pick, and he is probably because of that Newcastle game, but not anything recently. Like I actually compared them in the Morris and Solanke, So average away from home all season, Morris has had. So I'm looking at Morris because I don't think there's really another good Luton asset this week. If you were going to talk about captaincy, really, Morris away from home across the season, an average of 5.8 points per game. Solanke's average at home across the season is 4.4. It's lower, and I would say, and I agree with you. I feel like Bournemouth are obviously they are a better team than Luton, but at the moment, like Solanke's returns are not better recently or across the season, on these metrics than Morris. I don't know. I just don't like betting against the higher owned player, but I feel like he's not the best captaincy option this week. It sounds ridiculous.
That Newcastle game, he got the haul just handed to him on a platter as well. So like literally any player would have hauled in that situation as well. So
yeah, I forgot about that.
So that sort of inflated his numbers to where it probably shouldn't be. You put a 2 in there, then he's had 8 and 4 and like 6 2s since Gameweek 20. So, and
I worry about his knee injury as well. Like,
exactly.
I know everyone's going to read into it differently, but the fact he said that he came off after the game and then said, "I've got a little bit of pain in my knee," just made me think. That like where he admitted it, just everyone's going to read into it their own way. Just made me think, well, he's not giving 100% because he's worried about hurting himself or re-injuring himself.
But like these two defenses at the same really like with that Newcastle game, these two defenses are so bad that something like that could easily happen, and he could just be in the right place, and he's got 2 goals across the double or something like that,
and
enough, maybe missed it. That'd obviously be enough, yeah. Yeah, I mean, in your situation, like you don't own him right now.
No,
you would have to sell Haaland or Watkins. That's obviously so much more difficult. Even though Haaland plays Liverpool, which I still don't think is a people are overlooking that game. Like Liverpool's defense has not been good, so I still think that's a good fixture for City.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about. We've almost moved on to captaincy chat, and perhaps we'll talk about the other players in a minute, but. I just think Morris's I'm comparing it like for like because I appreciate they're both the strikers in the same team, but Morris, like I said, away from home, his average is higher. His XG per 90 minutes is where it's slightly lower, and they're both similar for expected assists. And like you said, in the last 6 games, Solanke's had 3 blanks plus that big 12-point haul. Morris has had 1 blank in that time, and I would argue that, based on team strength, they've both played similar quality teams. Morris played Aston Villa, Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle, Sheffield United and Brighton in that time. Solanke's probably played slightly harder game because he's played City in there, and maybe the Newcastle away game rather than being at home. But yeah, I feel like I'm getting more drawn on the blanks away against Burnley, at home against Forest, and only picking up 4 points in a away game against Fulham where they scored 3 goals. I don't know. It's something about their home versus away form is just making me question it.
See, So you're leaning towards Morris captain then, right?
I'm like a 52-48 lean.
So that scenario, would you suggest people bring Morris in for someone like Watkins or Haaland?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like
you would.
Well, for people who aren't on I think it's different again because of this free hit thing we've been discussing. But in my situation where I'm not playing a free hit next week, Haaland out to someone like Morris or Solanke makes sense because it's 3 games against 1 game and a potential captaincy with a wild card to bring it back in. And so the same reason for Solanke. I'm 100% I'm selling Haaland this week, and I will be getting Solanke. I'm just not sure about the captaincy yet. And I think most people would probably go for that as well. I don't know. It's probably different in your situation because you've got a free hit.
Well, I'm not even sure I will play the free hit. Like our friend George in our FPL chat's been talking about like wildcarding this week, and because mine and his team is pretty similar, and wildcard this week, get like 8, almost. I think it was like 8 doublers this week or something, wasn't it? It was like 6 or something
6
like that.
Maximum.
6, okay, 6, and then like it was like 9 or something in the blank. and then you sort of just keep a free hit for one of the doubles in 34 or 37, which sounds kind of nice, but I don't know. I feel like this double game week sort of feels a bit trappy because they are just two really bad teams. And but obviously the fix, but it's like people are bringing in like double Bournemouth defense versus like double Luton attackers. It just does it, you're not really making much point gain there, to be honest. So it doesn't make. And then when there's like such we'll talk about them later, there is really good single game week fixtures still, like the likes of Arsenal and Tottenham versus Aston Villa should be loads of goals in it and stuff. So I don't think I'm going to try and go too all in on this at all. I don't think I'm going to look at Bournemouth defense, to be honest. And maybe I'll look at a couple more players from Luton just to maybe not use the free hit in 29. I don't know, but selling Haaland to Morris just seems mental.
I think it sounds worse if you were going to free hit in 29, because then you've still got Morris when you get back to game week 30 and it's a transfer out again. So I agree. Well, should we talk about some of the other options? Is there any other options on the Bournemouth side of things? I quite like Neto, to be honest. I don't mind like a potential hit for Neto.
Yeah, so Neto, fifth highest scoring goalkeeper, which is obviously not bad. He's on 90 points. He's above Raya, Allison, Edison, Martinez, Vicario, to name just a few. Second highest expected points, as I said earlier, on 8.2 for the game week. He's got at least one save point in the last 5 game weeks in a row, which is obviously decent. In games where he's gotten one save point, he's gotten a bonus point more often than not as well. So, and I would say he's probably one of Bournemouth's best players overall. And then other than that, people are looking at Zabani, 0.9%, 4.4 million defender, 90-minute man. He's played every single minute this season, which is obviously a good thing. So he's absolutely nailed on. But his ceiling is 6 points completely. 21 of the 27 games played, he's gotten 0.0 XG, not even registered. Only one game all season he's gotten over 0.1 XGI, which was 0.21 away at Everton. So it's not particularly over 0.1. So it's not particularly. He's had one bonus point all season. So like he literally is probably the most boring option you could ever pick in fantasy. Nailed on 90 minutes, but if you don't keep clean sheets in either of these games, then he's getting 4 points maximum. That's it. So Kirkes at 0.4%, 4.4 million, less nailed on, more attacking, but like his numbers are barely more attacking. Not sure about that. But then there's Cliver at 4.6 million, 0.5%.
And he scored the goal at Burnley, didn't he?
Yes. But again, he's not nailed on. He hasn't completed 90 minutes all season.
Great.
Exactly. And his sort of starts in his benches are like when he's coming off for like 50 minutes, 60 minutes, sometimes 70, sometimes earlier. So there is like he is a maverick pick for just crazy ass people if they really want to go there. If you're looking at just like one sort of crazy pick for the double that nobody else is going to really own, and it might help you to gain a few ranks if he does anything, then okay, Cliver. But maybe Sinisteri, I think he's a good player for ex-Leeds player. Not sure why he's not played as many minutes recently, but he could be someone who's a decent option too.
I kind of like Neto because I feel like I'd say the clean sheet against Sheffield United is quite likely because they just looked woeful recently and they seem really down on it. Thing in that game, if you get a Neto, I can't imagine he's going to get any save points. I kind of think it's one of those games they're not going to be shooting loads.
Yeah, true.
Maybe if that one goal goes in, he's probably going to get 2 points. And then I kind of think, like, based on how Luton have been playing recently, like I had a look at their XG. So last 4 away games per game, they've got an XG of over 1, so 1.4. And that's like mid-table, but they have been consistent in scoring, and they've actually averaged 2 goals scored in each of their last 4 away games. So they're going for it to try and obviously stay up. So I feel like he's going to get save points in that game and then perhaps the clean sheet in the Sheffield United game. So, I do see a scenario where Neto could come out with like an 8 or 9 point game week, and maybe he would be worth like a hit over most starting goalkeepers who you don't expect are going to get a clean sheet this week. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah,
Do you agree with that?
I don't mind that. Dubravka could go to him because I think someone like what's his name, Pope is not that far away as far as I know. So his sort of weeks left in people's teams is limited, and he's obviously got Chelsea away this week, so it's not bad. What do you think of Kaminsky though? Because obviously he does play 29, whereas Bournemouth don't.
Yeah.
Or two away games. What do you think to him?
He's okay. I feel like he's okay from an appearance point of view. Like I just don't think there's that much. It seems like that much upside. Many of the goalkeepers this season. I had a look at it, like his points. He's got across the last 6 a 2, 3, 4, 1, 0, and 6. You know, he gets occasional save points. I feel like he and the Luton defence did interest me for a bit, and talk about Doherty a bit in a minute. But I think because their expected goals conceded is so bad, like expected goals conceded 2.2 on average across their last 4 away games with an average of 3 goals conceded, makes me think that they're not keeping a clean sheet in any of the games, and that he'll be lucky to get, multiple. So basically, he'd need like 6 save points. 6 saves to get 2 points to maybe get you like a net of 2 or 3 across both games. I feel like that seems unlikely.
But like if Solanke's not fully fit and he's not giving his 100%, then who's scoring the goals for Bournemouth?
Semedo and maybe that Maverick pick, Cliver, maybe. But I agree. I feel like they have both. I feel like Luton are going to go out all out in both games. They scored against Palace earlier in the season, and they've proven they can score in it. And they scored away against Liverpool, didn't they, the other week?
Yes, true.
They've scored. Yeah, they've scored in each game they've lost. I mean, their form is terrible as well. Lost 4 in a row, drew the other one. They scored 4 at Newcastle. They scored 1 at home to Sheffield United, 1 at home to United, 1 at Liverpool, and then 2 at Villa. So before that, 4 at home against Brighton. So they've been scoring quite well recently. So sorry, just to sort of loop back, I feel like they're likely to make both games quite open and high scoring. So
Yeah, okay, so you would say Neto is certainly better than
I'd say Neto is better for this game week, and you're right as well, because looking long term for someone that's trying to get rid of Dubravka, admittedly he doesn't play in the blank, but Bournemouth's fixtures are better for a longer term, and he's a solid goalkeeper. Seems to get
I think maybe if I did commit to just 29 free hit, then I could bring in Neto just fine and not worry about bringing in Bournemouth players because I'm going to be free hitting anyway. So where I would probably only bring in, I think the only transfer I think I'd probably do for this double would be possibly Neto.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to sell Haaland to Morris. I don't know.
Yeah, it does seem crazy, doesn't it, when you say it out loud?
Yeah, Watkins to Morris just seems like a no way.
Definitely.
Just because of the fixture should be so open. I just feel like it could be a trappy sort of thing of the week.
Game week.
And yeah.
Well, I'll just talk about a few more of the Luton picks, and just a little bit about their opponents as well. But to be honest, I know we'll talk about Doherty in a minute, but I don't really agree. I don't really see that investment there. So if we look at their opponents, Palace obviously got like a pinch of this new manager bounce. Their expected goals conceded in the last 4 games, so that both of these are stats at home, so I thought it'd be a better reflection. So they got expected goals conceded 0.9, which is actually the 4th best of all teams in the league. And expected goals of 1.29, which is 14th overall. So yeah, I mean, pretty much in keeping with the rest of Palace's season, even with the I appreciate the new manager's not been in there long, but fairly good defensively, not that great attacking wise. So I kind of feel like that could be a low scoring game. And earlier in the season when Luton played Palace, I think it was 2-1 to Luton. So maybe something similar the other way, I would say this time around. And on the Bournemouth game, again, the last 4 home games, we talked about this when you were talking about the numbers, but their expected goals conceded well, 1 on average, which is actually the sixth best. So their defensive side is fairly like solid, but their expected goals is way down, 1.3 per game. That's 15th. 4 goals in the last 4 games is not great, and 2 blanks obviously against City and Poole, and those tricky fixtures maybe skew that a little bit. So I think based on that, I would say neither games are going to be a clean sheet for Luton, but plenty of chance for them to score goals.
Yep.
Well, I say plenty of chance to score, but maybe like 2 to 3 across both the games. So, and it's just
Come on, Doughty.
Oh, I know. A question of who's going to get it. I mean, Morris has got the highest expected goal involvement for Luton, which is unsurprising because there isn't really anyone else to do it. It's 33% of all goals are potentially going to go through him. I did have a look at Ogbene because he came on for Bell last week and they switched their formation. Something else to mention about Luton, though, is when they had that injury last week, Doherty went to like the right-hand side of 3 at the back.
Yeah.
But still, despite that, like got forward loads and created loads of chances and is still monopolising the set pieces. So don't think that shit affected him. But yeah, Ogbene, it's like a mega differential, 0.3%, 4.9 million. Probably only someone you consider if you were maybe doing a wild card or trying to get players in for next week. But yeah, Morris is pretty clear, really. Higher on shots in the box, big chances, key passes than everyone else in the team. I think only Doherty beats him for key passes. I don't really see any midfielders coming close. I looked at Chong and Barkley. Chong's obviously scored a couple recently, and he's 3 returns in his last 4. Barkley hasn't returned for a while, but Barkley's pretty secure on his minutes. But none of them look like they're that great a pick, really. And just on Doherty, like I say, he's the second highest owned of all Luton players, so he's maybe someone to cover if you're that worried about that, but only 10% owned at the moment. Like I say, monopolised set pieces and corners, 25 corners to Barkley's 5 across the last 6 game weeks, 6 free kicks to Barkley having none, and 15 key passes to Barkley's 1. So, I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was looking at a Barkley in as a potential player, especially with 29 in mind, but he's really not been exciting from an FPL point of view. I kind of think the Luton picks boil down to 2 players. Do you want Morris, and do you want to take? I would say, I don't know if you agree, but like as a Doherty owner, are you going to risk? Well, for others, bringing in Doherty for potentially no clean sheets, I would say, but the chance of an attack in return. Do you agree with that? I don't see a clean sheet for them.
I feel like he's possibly still got the highest upside of all of the sort of double game week defenders, maybe.
I just don't know if I see him. Obviously, him hauling is going to be based on a clean sheet, I would think. And is he going to get multiple returns, like attacking returns across this game week?
Probably not, to be honest.
I could see a world where the Palace Luton game finishes 0-0 and he maybe gets bonus because he's got loads of key passes. That could be a thing, and then he could end up on 9 and then a 2 maybe, and maybe he scores like 11. That could happen, but I don't know. It just feels like unlikely.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, like I said, Luton seem a bit trappy other than those 2. Maybe Doherty is too. And then Bournemouth, maybe. Who knows? Because their best asset is slightly injured.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we have a chit chat about like single game week players and then maybe ones that look obviously play in the blank as well?
Just want to mention a couple of them. So obviously, good single game week players this week. Arsenal players, obviously away at Brentford, and their Brentford's sort of XGC and everything and conceding goals lately has been terrible. They're down the bottom of the league for defense. But yeah, just someone who has basically gone overlooked the whole season. Rice, 5.4 million, 5.5%. He's on 112 points this season.
That's crazy.
And did you know that's more than any Arsenal defender?
Is it really?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
He's higher points than Saliba, who's on 110, and Gabriel is like down at 100 and something.
Wow. I wouldn't have guessed that.
So he is on more points than any of the Arsenal defenders, which and he's just a CM/DM in Arsenal's team. It's just Yeah, he's had 8, 6, 3, 17. I don't know where that came from. 1, 2,
West
6,
Ham,
and 2 since
yeah.
Game Week 20. And then he's added the exact same points as Douglas Luiz from Game Week 22 to 27.
Really?
And
Wow.
you brought in Douglas Luiz. And
That's really
then
funny.
everyone's been looking for this sort of cheaper player. And obviously Douglas Luiz plays 29. But yeah, so he's had more points than Richarlison, Martinelli, Luis Diaz, Bruno, Rashford, like all those guys. He's ahead of. And so I'm just like in capital letters on my notes. It's like, why is nobody talking about him when he's just like,
A good fifth
he's
midfielder.
only like 10 points behind like Gordon and like Palmer. So he's barely behind them, and he's just around the same price. So it's like Arsenal. You saw against Sheffield United, like he was really far forward. He's taking set pieces as well now. He takes the left-sided corners. Yeah, he takes the left-sided corners. I think he's had a few like free kicks as well from the left side. Yeah, and he just seemed to be so attacking as well. Like Douglas Luiz, just like getting into the box late, and yeah, he's scoring goals, he's getting assists. Yeah, I mean, he's like, you've obviously, everyone is looking at like Arsenal attack and Arsenal defense, so probably most people won't have a space to pick him up. But yeah, if you're looking for a sort of cheaper differential in the midfield, like he should be an option, just like Douglas Luiz has become an option. Yeah, and then so another guy, Fulham, Muniz, I did mention him earlier, 2.6% owned. They play in 29. This week they got Wolves away, which is not a bad fixture either. 4.5 million striker. There hasn't really been a 4.5 million striker starting this season. So yeah, if you aren't on free hit 29, you can do obviously a lot worse than him for the next few. Fifth highest scoring player from game week 22 to 27 on 43 points. And then game week 23 to 27 since starting, he's got 8, 13, 8, 2, and 11. So he's only blanked once, and the minimum he's got is 8, which obviously great. That's Watkins, Saka, Haaland numbers in just a few 5 weeks basically. So the guy is 4.5 million. This plays Tottenham at home in 29, which I don't think is a bad fixture.
No,
Sheffield United away in 30 as well, which is obviously a good fixture. 4.5 million. I've got Nakamura rotting on my bench. Why am I not bringing this guy in? But obviously there is 3 striker spots that people are obviously all using at the moment. But yeah, if you have a 4.5 slot and you want to go to 3-4-3, if you've been on 3-5-2 or something, he's perfectly good enabler for sure.
Is he under threat from Jimenez and maybe him? I know Jimenez has got this hamstring injury. I don't know if he's back soon.
He's still injured. Yeah, I'm not sure how soon, but I think he should be fine for the next few weeks at least.
And I know Broja is obviously there on loan from Chelsea, and I feel like I read that he's got some stipulation in his loan agreement that he's got to play X amount of games. So
okay,
yeah, but Muniz is definitely someone I'm looking at to bring in for 29, not on the free hit. It would be to replace potential Solanke, him or Tony. I kind of like Muniz because he's in better form than Tony, and even though Burnley are trash, I kind of feel like Muniz trumps Tony, and also he's so low owned. I feel like a lot of free hits are going to end up being really template because we've only got not template. Sorry, they're just going to be similar. That's purely because we've got a low team, and I don't think people are going to be picking Muniz as much as a Tony. I don't know. What do you think about that? I know it's one for 29, really more than this one.
I think you probably would like to pick Tony in an ideal scenario, but yeah, the form is saying Muniz at the moment. I don't know. Tony showed up at the Brit Awards. Maybe he was just trying to not be
Did he really?
Injured for that. Yeah, he did. He presented a category.
Oh God,
which is funny.
I just had a quick look down Spurs' last 3 away games. They conceded 2 against Everton, 2 against United, and 4 against Brighton. So that's post New Year. So their form away from home has been pretty trash. So maybe Villa will spank them this weekend, and there'll be even more reason to get Muniz.
That could be interesting, yes. And then finally, just West Ham attack versus Burnley this week. Obviously, Bowen has scored 28 points in the last 2 weeks, which is obviously good. They're at home to Burnley. Their defense is atrocious. Kudus on option 2. Bowen, obviously the main one. probably going to be keeping a clean sheet. Like players like Emerson and Ward-Prowse and even Souček come into that as well. So yeah, single game week players this week against Burnley seems great. It basically it seems like just target the the relegation teams every week: Burnley, Luton, and Sheffield United, and you'll be fine.
That's why I'm so excited about my wild card in game week 30, because I think Liverpool play Sheffield United game week 31. That's right.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Sheffield United, baby. Maybe Trent will be back by then. Anyway, more future thoughts. Right, should we do our teams in a quick roundup?
Yeah.
All right, do you want to go first?
Sure.
I've got it on the screen. All these.
Okay,
pictures.
so my team looks fine for this week, I'd say. The only thing I'm thinking about is maybe Dubravka to Neto. Other than that, I don't think I still haven't decided if I'm free hitting in 29 or not.
How many players do you have for 29?
At the moment, I got 4. So I could bring in. I don't even know. I could.
You bring 2 Luton. No, you have to get rid of Nakamba.
It just doesn't seem worth it to me because they're crap. So, yeah. So I think I probably will just free hit 29. I think that just seems like the best way for me to go. And I'll maybe bring in Neto this week and just keep Haaland. Probably not go for Morris, even though he probably will score. I just hope he won't. I expect he'll probably get 2 penalties.
So you don't know what? Sorry, what transfer are you going to make?
It's probably just Dubravka to Neto. Yeah, it seems boring, but I don't know.
What about?
I don't think. Go on.
De Bruyne to Maddison.
Yeah,
Spreads
maybe.
the risk a little bit about Triple City away at Liverpool and gets you a player for 29, but then that's more towards not free hitting, really.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a bit to think about this week for sure. Yeah, De Bruyne will obviously play. Like I said, I don't think it's a bad fixture for City, just because the defense has been poor. I think they could score 3 against Liverpool. I think it could be an open game again. So, yeah, I think many are selling City, whereas I think they could still be. There should be goals at either end. Yeah, I haven't really had time to eke out a proper strategy for my team, and sort of feeling the effects of that. I think.
How many transfers have you got this week?
Just one. Yeah.
I'm trying to think what the best way of getting some quick players into your team for 29, but you're right. You'd almost want to take a -8 this week, and then some of that would be swallowed by the double game week players, and then maybe a -4 next week. That would get you net 5 players off 4 already, and you could have 9 not free hit, and you at a cost of -12. Maybe that's too many points.
Probably is. I would say. I mean, maybe I could wildcard, but I just don't fancy wildcarding yet. I just don't think it's right for me. I just, like I said, I don't like this double that much.
No.
So I just don't think wildcarding for 6 players is worth it when it's Bournemouth and Luton. It's just. Bleh.
I feel like as well that if we, the reason I'm not wildcarding now is I feel like there's still quite a lot of games left, and or game weeks to play, and
yeah.
You're further out, obviously, from the potential, from the double that's likely going to happen in 34 and 37. And I don't think that 34 looks like a double game week where it's players what we want, for the run-in. It looks like Newcastle, Man United, and, no offence from United, but I don't really want any of their players in my team for the long term. And Newcastle, their defence has fallen off a cliff. Maybe don't want Gordon. So I kind of feel like 34 looks more like a free hit week, or players you transfer in and out.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then 37's the big bench boost one, and just hope that there's still a 3-way title fight going on.
Yeah, I think there was something that Ben Crellin said that possibly 34 could have as little as only 1 doubler, which just seems crazy. I don't know how that's happened, but obviously there's the likelihood is that it's definitely more than that. But yeah, the teams don't look great, where it sounds like I could maybe get away with not having loads of doublers in that one.
Yeah. Oh, it's tricky.
Tough.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, let's talk about yours.
All right. I think I'm pretty set, to be honest. I don't. So I've got Richarlison, but I heard he spoke to a journalist after the game and said he'd be back for the Villa game. Like he said he was going to be training, so I'm going to keep an eye on that. So Richarlison, I think, might come back. Bell looks like he's going to be out, to be honest, for hamstring injury. So I've been so the transfers I'm definitely doing: Haaland to Solanke and Gordon to Son. So that'll be for a -4. And then that'll leave me with, I think it leaves me with 8 players who will play in the game week, 9 if Bell's fit. I think that's right. And maybe 10 if Richarlison's fit as well. I think that's how it works. And then I'm just not sure on captaincy, really. Like I said, I'm really want to do Morris, but I don't want to get burned because I think Solanke's going to be the obvious pick, and if he does haul, I just feel like it's going to be a huge swing, and I've made quite a lot of progress recently, and it seems stupid. Morris is like less than 8% owned, so I don't.
I mean, I didn't mention my captain. I will probably have it on Solanke as well. I think it had Haaland on by screenshot, but just because he probably is the best option. But I think you should go for Morris. I think you're doing so well. I think your Morris looks like he's going to get goals in these 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the reason I'm a bit on the edge about it is that Sheffield United game, which obviously has happened at the same time as Palace. Like Bournemouth could win that by like 2 or 3 goals based on how bad Sheffield United could be, and you would expect Solanke to get something. So if Solanke's coming off the back of, I don't know, let's say a 10-point game going into the second game at home, I'm just going to be like, well, I fucked this. I fucked it. Whereas I wouldn't mind so much if it was the other way around, if that makes sense. So, like, let's say if I've captained Solanke, he doesn't do anything in Morris's haul because he's still quite a big differential at under 10%. I think I'd still get the benefit of that. He's 7.2. 7.2. I imagine it will probably go up to 10 by the weekend, but yeah, maybe. That's my cautious play coming into.
Fair enough. Solanke then. And let's just hope he does something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Have we got any more to add?
I don't think so. I think I need to go away and figure something out.
I think so too. We've got Champions League to look forward to tonight with City. Maybe De Bruyne and Foden will get injured, and then you've got even more problems. But
then I'll have to do something.
That would be such a blessing if they got injured, because then it would sort of make you make a decision for you. In a way.
Yes.
In a way.
Yes.
Obviously, don't want to get any player.
I think Foden's meant to be rotated anyway tonight,
so
that probably won't help. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
He's not in the predicted team, so which is not good for my Champions League team, but
Don't worry about that. Right. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week once we've got all our points on the board.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not a disaster.
Cheers, everyone.